Okay, think about this number for a second. A country's foreign debt exploding, I mean, really exploding, over 4,000% in just 2 decades.
Wow.
Yeah. From under $1 billion to more than 28 billion.
That's staggering.
It is. And the thing is, this wasn't just, bad planning or some unavoidable economic crash. Nope. This was deliberate, a planned heist, really.
A heist.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into Ferdinand Marcos in the Philippines. We're going to look at how his ambition, well, it created this corrupt dynasty that just absolutely crippled the country.
And the goal here is to follow the money, right?
Right. Trace it from international banks straight into, well, unbelievably lavish palaces. We want to uncover the whole tangled web, the financial cost, but also the human cost.
And it's still relevant. I mean, even today, what is it, Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, around 11:14 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
This story is still echoing.
It really is. And look, if you find this kind of deep dive fascinating like we do, you should definitely check out Mind Expansion Daily.
Yeah, lots of good stuff there.
For sure. Just head over to mindexpansiondaily.com. You'll find more great content just like this. Okay, so let's set the scene. Ferdinand Marcos gets elected back in 1965.
Right.
And he comes in with this really captivating vision, make the Philippines great again. The country's debt then, pretty small comparatively, around $600 million.
Pocket change compared to later.
Totally. And he starts big, right? Infrastructure projects, roads, bridges, the big cultural center in Manila. It looked good. It felt like progress.
It offered hope.
Exactly. But what was really bubbling under the surface there?
Oh, you're right. It looked good. And there was growth initially. A 2025 Philippine Economic Review actually points to like a 5% GDP growth spurt by 1970.
Okay, so not entirely smoke and mirrors at first.
Not entirely, but here's the catch. Marcos was, let's say, a master at leveraging borrowed optimism. He used foreign loans to build that shiny facade. It wasn't really about sustainable growth. It was about creating something visible, something impressive, for a population that really wanted change. It looked like prosperity, but the economy was actually being hollowed out by all that debt.
So this supposed growth, it wasn't really built on solid ground. It was all hanging on these foreign loans.
Pretty much entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about major players here, like the World Bank, the IMF.
The International Monetary Fund, institutions you'd think would be helping development.
Exactly. But they ended up, maybe unknowingly at first, kind of fueling this system. They poured about, $2.6 billion into the Philippines between 73 and 81.
Why so much?
Well, Cold War politics played a big role. The Philippines was seen as a really key ally against communism in the region. So the money flowed.
But it wasn't all going to build bridges and roads, was it?
Not by a long shot. A huge chunk was just siphoned off through kickbacks. Massively inflated contracts. I mean, the classic example is the Bataan nuclear power plant.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that one. Cost billions.
$2 billion. And it never generated a single watt of electricity.
Unbelievable.
But according to Transparency International, looking back in 2025, an $80 million bribe was paid out to a Marcos crony. It wasn't just cash in a bag, though.
How'd they hide it?
It was buried in, hugely overpriced contracts for equipment, services, laundered through intermediaries, looked like legitimate costs on paper.
Wow.
And get this, a 2025 report from the IMF's own archives flags $1.5 billion as just unaccounted for, gone.
1.5 billion.
Yeah. So this whole debt machine, it wasn't building wealth, it was draining it, putting this massive burden on ordinary Filipinos.
It's just an incredible amount to vanish.
Yeah.
But for this heist, as you called it, to really ramp up, Marcos needed more control, didn't he? Fewer questions asked.
Exactly. He needed to shut down any opposition, any oversight. And that leads us to 1972, martial law.
Right. Declared under the guise of stopping unrest, saving the republic, I think was the phrase.
That was the justification.
Yeah.
But what it actually did was dismantle democracy overnight. Congress dissolved, the press muzzled, anyone critical imprisoned. Amnesty International's 2025 update gives some pretty grim figures. Over 3,200 killings, 35,000 cases of torture, 70,000 people incarcerated.
Just horrific numbers.
And beyond the human rights abuses, this was the key that unlocked the Treasury. A 2025 Human Rights Watch study estimates around $5 billion was looted specifically during the martial law period.
So declaring martial law wasn't just about power, it was fundamentally about enabling the theft.
Absolutely. It was the moment the heist went into overdrive. No more pretending. no accountability.
And with that absolute power, he started handing out favors, right? This whole crony capitalism thing.
That's right. He basically gifted entire industries to his buddies. Sugar, coconuts, logging, huge sectors of the economy handed over to allies like Rodolfo Cuenca, Antonio Florendo.
So not just contracts, but whole industries. That must have warped the entire economy.
Yeah, totally. It wasn't just about giving friends a boost. It created monopolies. These cronies got massive loans, often state-backed, that they often had no intention or ability to repay.
And they crushed any real competition.
Completely. Plus, the methods they used to hide the money were getting really sophisticated. Shell companies, secret Swiss bank accounts.
The famous Swiss accounts.
Yep. Using aliases like William Saunders or Jane Ryan. These weren't just hiding places. They were ghost entities designed to break the chain of ownership, make it almost impossible to follow the money.
How much are we talking about through those channels?
Well, Swiss Banking Commission records, even looking back from 2025, managed to trace about $4 billion through those kinds of networks.
4 billion, just through those traceable accounts.
Exactly. So this whole system wasn't just lining cronies' pockets. It was a pipeline, channeling the nation's wealth directly to Marcos, his family, his inner circle, bleeding the country dry, basically.
Okay, so this system, built on debt and control, it couldn't last forever, right?
Yeah.
When did things start to fall apart?
Well, by the early 80s, things were getting shaky. Global interest rates went up, the world economy shifted. It became harder and harder to borrow. The facade started cracking.
Was there a specific trigger point?
Absolutely. The assassination of the opposition leader, Ninoy Aquino, in 1983. That was the breaking point.
How did that change things so drastically?
It just shattered international confidence. Creditors suddenly saw the Philippines as unstable, politically risky. The loans dried up overnight.
Any economic impact?
Devastating. Swift. The World Bank, in a 2025 report, noted GDP just plummeted, dropped 7.3% each year in 84 and 85.
Wow.
Inflation hit 50%. Unemployment shot up. The peso's value crashed. That assassination basically told the world, this place isn't stable anymore.
So the country was left with this enormous debt.
Yep. That figure we mentioned earlier, $28.3 billion, that's confirmed by a 2025 Asian Development Bank report. The Philippines was effectively bankrupt, looking for bailouts. The whole illusion just completely shattered.
Which leads us to 1986, the People Power Revolution.
A truly historic moment. Millions of Filipinos taking to the streets, peacefully demanding change.
And it worked. Marcos was ousted. And suddenly, the world started seeing the evidence of the plunder, right?
Oh, absolutely. The floodgates opened. We started hearing about the New York real estate, the incredible art collection, including a Botticelli and, of course, those Swiss accounts holding at least $3 billion. The sheer scale of it was finally coming to light.
Must have been absolutely shocking for Filipinos in the world.
It really was. And afterwards, they set up this body, the Presidential Commission on Good Government, the PCGG.
Right. Their job was to get the money back.
Exactly. A monumental task. They were created specifically to trace and recover all that stolen wealth. And they have had some success, recovered over $3 billion.
That's significant, but
But it's likely just the tip of the iceberg. PCGG estimates, even in 2025, suggest maybe $10 billion, maybe even up to $30 billion is still unrecovered out there somewhere.
10 to 30 billion, still missing.
Yeah. So while people power was this incredible display of courage and resilience, the financial wounds, they run incredibly deep. They persist.
So let's talk about that legacy. What did this mean long term? That $28 billion debt didn't just disappear when Marcos left, did it?
No, absolutely not. It hung over the country for decades. And remember that decree Marcos signed in 1977.
The one prioritizing creditor.
That's the one. It meant debt payments legally had to come first, before things like, education, healthcare, vital public services were starved for funds for years.
So the impact on everyday people must have been immense.
Huge. Economists talk about the lost decades for the Philippines. While neighbors like Thailand, Malaysia were booming, the Philippines was just treading water, trying to pay off this debt.
How long did it take just to get back to where they were before?
A 2025 Oxford economics report says it took 20 years. 20 years just to recover the income levels they had back in 1982.
20 years, an entire generation.
Pretty much. And you see the ripple effects. A 2025 UNICEF Philippines report actually links that economic stagnation to significantly lower literacy rates, like 30% lower for a whole generation. That legacy of poverty, of debt burden, it's still felt today.
It's more than just history then, isn't it? This deep dive into the Marcos heist feels like, well, a cautionary tale. What are the big lessons here for the world today?
I think the really chilling lesson isn't just that corruption can happen, but how it can happen. How a leader can systematically weaponize, international finance, state control, the legal system itself to turn national debt into a private fortune.
And it's not unique to the Philippines.
Sadly, no. A 2025 study by Global Financial Integrity points to similar patterns, these debt traps. In places like Zambia, Sri Lanka, they estimate something like $50 billion is lost globally to corruption like this every year.
50 billion a year.
Yeah. And the tactics Marcos used, diverting loans, cronyism, silencing dissent, you still see echoes of that today in various parts of the world. It's a blueprint, really, for how unchecked power can just dismantle checks and balances and loot a nation. It's a powerful warning for everyone, everywhere.
So the real cost, it goes way beyond the billions of dollars, doesn't it? It's the lost potential, the stunted progress, the actual suffering of millions of people. That's the true legacy. It's a wound that takes generations to heal if it ever fully does.
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, what aspect of this whole story, this deep dive, stuns you the most? And what implications do you think it holds for the future?
That's a heavy question.
It is, and we'd genuinely love to hear what you think too. Drop a comment below. Do you agree with our take or see it differently? Let us know.
Yeah, definitely share your thoughts.
And hey, if you found this deep dive valuable, please do like this video and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. We've got more explorations like this coming up. Thanks so much for joining us and for your engagement.